All right, guys, we want to talk about these final two type of angles of circles, okay? So we're going to take you to your book. Theorem 11.1, we have what's called the interior angle, okay? Which is named because it's quite simple. The vertex of the angle is inside of the circle. Inside of the circle, not at the center. Not necessarily at the center, very often not at the center, okay? And then we have the exterior angle whose vertex is outside of the circle, hence the name interior and exterior. Okay? In each case, we need to look at not one but two arcs. Not one but two arcs. In the interior angle, we need to look at the angle that both vertical angles meet up with. Okay? We have the vertical angles here. We see they meet up with arc X and XY and Y. And so the formula just says, take X and Y, add them together, and cut it in half. That's the measure of the angle, okay? Now the exterior angle, okay, the exterior angle says, okay, I also meet up with two arcs, but I'm only one angle. And I have the red arc, which is the arc furthest away, and I have the blue arc, which is the arc closest, okay? And for this angle, the formula just says, okay, take the furthest arc, subtract the closest arc, and take half of that, and that's the measure of the angle. Take 1/2 the difference between the furthest arc and the closest arc, and that's the measure of the angle. Okay, we'll look at a few of these within the GeoGebra files that I'm going to provide for you, okay? So the first GeoGebra file is right here, and this lists both, okay? It says here, here's the interior angle, which as it stands here is 92, which is 121 and 63 added together, okay, which is 184, and half of that is 92. Again, this can be manipulated. Okay, let's see. Let's turn it around like this. Okay, so now I have 51 as the red arc, and the other arc over here is 75. Okay, so 51 and 75 is 126, half of which is the measure of that angle. Okay, the interior angle, add the two arcs together. Okay, the two arcs met by the vertical angles that are interior, and take a half. Over here, we have the exterior angle. The exterior angle, okay, with its vertex outside, says, okay, there's the arc which is close, which is furthest away, which is the larger, and there's the arc which is closest. And it simply says, let's take and subtract those two arcs, and then take half. So as we see here, we got 174, okay, and 78. 174 minus 78, okay, it gives us 96, half of which is the measure of that angle, which is 48. Again, I can manipulate this, change these into smaller arcs. Let's see, okay, let's go right here. I got a 111 degree arc out there, and I got a 45 degree arc closest, okay? The furthest minus the closest, 111 minus 45 is going to give me 66, half of which is going to be 33. So those are the two new angles. Now one further thing we have to look at, let's go back to the textbook and illustrate this here. There are three types of exterior angles, okay? But they're all exterior and they all have the same formula, okay? There's the exterior angle, which is formed, the angles formed by two secant rays, that is, of course, the rays touching at 2 points on the circle, okay, which is the case that we see here, okay, and was also the case that we see here, okay. But moreover, there's these other cases. There's the case here, again, exterior angle, still the same formula, formed a little differently, with a secant ray and a tangent ray. A ray, a line segment, a ray touching at 1 point, which is tangent, and one touching at 2 points, which is a secant. Or we can have, as is the case here, okay, a exterior angle formed by two tangents, okay, which is, okay, one part of the circle, X, and the remaining part of the circle is Y, okay? Well, very often here, the problems are going to be like, oh, I'm only going to give you let's say I give you arc x and say it's 240, and say how you going to find y. Well, I say, well, if x is 240, then y is the rest of the circle, because these are two tangents. So if x is 240, y is 120, and 240 minus 120 is 120, cut in half, and that's angle 1. And that's going to be the nature of the problems we're going to see. Okay? So that'll do it for this.